By Tuesday morning, the air was thick with tension. For weeks, the Spanish police had been hunting down and detaining activists organizing the controversial Surround Congress action, dubbed 25S. Anything promoting the event was taken down immediately by the police. Cultural centers where 25S meetings were taking place were raided and shut down. Activists were detained. As buses headed toward Madrid for the big day, they too were stopped by the police. Those who did make it to Madrid by Tuesday morning speak of the police harassment and intimidation leading up to September 25th.
Les ha hecho entrar en una dinámica muy paranoica, muy asustada, que ha llevado a esta dinámica represiva para intentar asustar a la gente. El resultado, como siempre que en el último año y medio han intentado asustar a la gente, es lo que veis.
The police surrounded demonstrators at all the main meeting points before protesters marched to Congress. Police helicopters flew overhead all day.
As protesters start moving from Plaza de España, which was one of the many meeting points for demonstrators, you can see the police are heavily equipped in riot gear, and they too are getting ready to move with the demonstrators. This action has been called by the Spanish government a possible coup d'etat. No one here is armed, and a number of the people who are participating include families with children, the unemployed, and old people.
As this march begins, the anger and tension amongst the protesters as a result of the police harassment is visible. Although the main trade unions, which usually mobilize masses, did not endorse the action, many of their workers showed up anyway.
De cierta manera parecíamos que nos identificamos por esta forma de manifestarse, pero gracias a que nos llaman golpistas, pues los que defendemos la democracia es un insulto que manifestarse en la calle se diga que es golpista, cuando realmente los golpistas son los que están potenciando este tipo de manifestaciones.
The people here charge the right-wing government with theft of public wealth and driving the country into poverty. Many insist their frustration is mounting, which brought them to the workplace of their politicians. Their demands included the removal of the current government with new elections, the immediate ends to austerity reforms, and the rewriting of the Constitution. Those surrounding the parliament are part of the broader Indignados movement, born on May 15th of last year. This is yet another showing of anti-austerity public outrage.
We're about one block from the Congress, and what's happened is a number of demonstrations coming from different plazas in the city to converge here have been cut off by the police. This is one of those groups, and just on the opposite end of it, you can actually see demonstrators on that side also trying to get in. They too have been blocked by the police.
Usted está reprendiendo al pueblo que le está diciendo un presidente que dimita y haga unas elecciones nuevas, porque ha engañado al pueblo, y usted lo sabe. Ha subido el IVA, motivo suficiente para que usted le detuviera. Usted no tiene el valor.
On the opposite side of this march, a larger demonstration approaches the gates of Congress, and violence erupts. The police viciously attack and detain protesters and members of the press. As the police expand their line away from the Congress, the protesters remain defiant. Then their patience wears thin, and the police start to push forward.
Now the press has been kicked into the area with the demonstrators, so it seemed to be a human traffic jam between protesters, press, and also the police.
On the other end of the police line, clashes break out, and again the police attack. Many are detained and dragged away. Then shots ring out, and the scene escalates into complete disorder.
The situation has turned extremely chaotic here. People wouldn't leave initially. They were sitting down and maintaining a non-violent situation. And then out of nowhere, the police just started pushing the front line. And there's just chaotic running happening everywhere. And people are starting to fight back.
The police break off into small groups and chase down demonstrators. along the way beating and detaining those trying to flee.
At one point it was the people who were outnumbered, but now the police are very outnumbered by the protesters, and they're throwing huge bricks at the police, rocks, glass, and they're responding with rubber bullets.
Now it is the police who are under attack. They shoot rubber bullets at close range into terrified crowds of people. Some take refuge in this restaurant. The owner pleads with the police to leave the area. The police chase continues as protesters run in all directions. Those being shot by their rubber bullets include women and journalists. The police seem bewildered and at times disorganized in the face of mounting anger. They began to chase protesters up the small streets. But notice they are outnumbered and retreat.
Nuestros padres lucharon con los grises y nosotros luchamos contra vosotros, que sois sus hijos, hijos de puta. Y a la mañana tu hijo no va a tener que comer, tu hijo no va a tener que comer.
Back at the Congress, a couple of hundreds of protesters, mostly young and unemployed, hold their ground. All the while, the police continue to hunt down and arrest protesters.
La cosa estaba bastante tensa y los policías empezaron a arremeter contra todo el mundo, empiezan a cargar indiscriminadamente contra todo el mundo, incluso contra los periodistas, les da igual que estén en medio. Y estamos volviendo a la represión fascista, les da igual, no se dan cuenta que quien tienen que defender es al pueblo y es a quien le están atacando.
Siempre la fuerza por la fuerza, siempre, siempre, siempre. Es su única arma, la violencia.
By Wednesday morning, government officials in Madrid congratulated the police force for how they handled the protesters. 34 people were arrested and over a dozen injured. Protesters vow the unrest will not end and plan to converge on the parliament again this week. Jehan Hafiz for The Real News, Madrid.